Hi, in this video we are going to talk about one very important question that students may have at this point of time. Is it too late to start CAT 24 preparation? So we are sitting in July at this point of time and we have CAT on the last Sunday of November. So it's a natural thing to have that sort of an apprehension in your mind that is it too late to start my CAT 24 preparation? So what I've done is I've listed a few questions and we're going to go through these questions and figure out, and I'm going to help you figure that out, whether am I too late or am I not too late? So let's get into it. Now, the first question that you need to ask yourself at this point of time is, what is my current life stage? And this is a very important consideration. Now, some of you, for example, could be students, maybe you're in the final year of graduation. Some of you may be graduates and you have recently graduated, you don't have a job at this point of time, and you're not planning to take one till the time you take the CAT. Or you could be somebody who has graduated and now you're working full time, which puts additional pressure on you. Or you could be somebody who had graduated previously, had a couple of years of work experience, and now you are thinking of either taking a break or you're planning to continue with your job. So there could be a lot of different situations that are possible, right? And basis that you will have to figure out, do I get enough time to prepare for the CAT, right? So your life stage is very, very important because it will have an implication on a lot of things. So depending on how much time you get, depending on whether you're a student or a working professional, things are going to be very, very different. Just to give an example, let's say you're a student, you have a very fixed schedule. You know that, okay, college is going to happen from this time to this time. You also know what activities you're going to do, what, let's say, your college exams, etc., when are they going to happen. So a lot of these things are known in advance. And that is why you'll be able to make a nice calendar. Working professionals, of course, a lot of times their also schedule is fixed, but you may have certain days, let's say when you have to work extra, or there could be some emergencies in which you have to maybe stay up late in office. Having said that, a lot of working professionals will get more time on the weekends. And that brings me to my second and the third question. The second question is, are you preparing by choice or force? Now, this is a very important consideration. A lot of times students are preparing because someone has asked them to do it. So my, let's say, cousin did an MBA, so that is why I want to do an MBA. Or your parents are telling you that, okay, you should be doing an MBA and that's what you're supposed to do. You should not be doing anything else in life. So what is your intent? That intent is going to be the driving force. It is going to be the motivation in this entire journey. So are you preparing by choice or are you preparing by force? And that's the difference between when I meet the students when they say that I have to do this versus I want to do this, right? There are two different things and they have different connotations. So that is why ask yourself, are you preparing by choice or are you preparing by force? Now moving on to the next question, which is, are you able to find pockets of time during the day to study? Now, this is a very important thing again. See, all of us have the same amount of time. If you look at how much time we all get, let's say all of us must be sleeping for about 6, 7, 8 hours on average. And that gives us roughly about, say, 16, 17, 18 hours that we can use for whatever it is that we want to do. For example, some of you could be working or students. Now, out of those hours, you start figuring out how much time can I really give for CAT preparation. So ask yourself, again, those of you thinking of quitting, etc., ask yourself whether do you really need to quit or not. Because if you quit, for example, you will just have ample amount of time, but how much of it will you actually be using? That is why, are you able to find pockets of time during the day? So imagine, let's say you're a working professional, right? You have, let's say, 9 to 6 is your working. You leave at 8 o'clock, you come back at 7 o'clock. Of course, you are going to have a lot of time beyond that. So you can be, let's say, if you're a morning person, you can study in the morning. If you are somebody who, let's say, like sleeping a little late, then you can study during the night time. So you will always have flexibility that way. You figure out what is it that you want to do with the time that is available. So there is one very important thing that you need to understand, that given the time that is available, right, work also expands to fill that time. So there is this saying that work expands to fill the time that is available. So when you say that, okay, I have 4 months ahead of me, you will act as if you have 4 months. But what if there are only 3 months? You tell your mind, you convince your brain that there are only 2 months ahead of me. Will my preparation strategy, my style, the effort that I'm putting, is that going to change or not, right? So figure out pockets of time during the day. And again, if you find something extra on the weekends, that will really be helpful. Let's move on to the next question, which is, do you have any background in competitive test preparation? Now, why I put this question is a lot of times students have a concern on this because they think that I never prepared for competitive test. Is that really a hindrance? Now, let me tell you one thing. Let's say you prepared for competitive test, let's say IIT JEE or NEET or anything else for that matter. Let's say scholarship test when you were in school, right? When you prepared for those tests, there were some skills that you acquired. You realized, okay, how do you work with options or how do you prepare in a strategic manner? Now, those skills, of course, can be transferred to CAT preparation as well. So, if you have that sort of an experience, of course, it is going to be valuable. Having said that, let's say you didn't prepare for that. Would you still be in a position to crack a test like CAT? The answer is yes. Now, let me tell you why. Because it's not that you're going to prepare for the next 4 months, you have been preparing all your life, right? And all of us, whenever we decided to take the CAT, and all of us, right? We have been preparing for the CAT all our life, right? So when you think of it, let's say when you're in school, right, you did English as a subject. So you're preparing technically for verbal and the reading comprehension. You did a lot of these logic puzzles which used to appear in the newspapers. So you're preparing for the LR section. You looked at some data, you answered questions based on it when you were in school. Again, that is data interpretation. And of course, all of us, again, it could be different level of sophistication and difficulty, but all of us did math when we were in school. So your 8, 9, 10, whatever math that you have done, that is going to help you. You may have lost touch with it, which is a separate issue, and that can always be picked, right? See, it's a skill. For example, all of us learned, let's say, cycling, right, when we were kids. Now, let's say you're not cycled for, let's say, last 10 years. If I give you a cycle right now, maybe on the first attempt, you're going to fall down, you're going to get hurt. But will you not be able to cycle forever? No. So you might have to try a couple of times, but then you will start realizing that motion will start coming to you naturally that, okay, this is how I'm supposed to hold the handlebar. This is how I'm supposed to pedal. So those things will start coming to you. And that is why it's not necessary to have a background. If you have a background, definitely it will help you. It will act as an added advantage. But if you don't have it, it is still fine. Now, moving on to the next question, which is based on your school and college experience, what is your learning style? Now, why learning style is important? Right? So, some of us, for example, could be people who like to do a lot of things on our own. Given a book, you sit with it, you go through it, and you have figured out what it is. There could be some people who think that, okay, I'm not that kind of a person, but if I watch a video where somebody is explaining things to me, I'll be able to pick it up. There could be third kind of learner who says that no, I'm going to need a lot of personal attention. I need a classroom program. I need somebody who is a mentor who is teaching me face to face, and a lot of discussions and doubt solving that is going to happen. So depending on your style of learning, you will also have to figure out what kind of teaching methodology would you prefer or need. So if you realize that, okay, I'm somebody who can prepare on my own, you can always sign up for something like a self-learning program. If you think that I can watch videos or I can attend live online sessions, I'm self-disciplined, then you can go for a live online program. If you think that you're going to need more hand-holding, more support, you can always go for a classroom program. So this will decide what kind of a preparation approach you should be taking or the mode that you should be considering. Now moving on to the sixth question. So the question says, what are perceived areas of strength and areas needing improvement? Again, this is based on historical data, right? So when you were in school or when you were in college, what subjects did you like the most? Did you like mathematics? Did you hate mathematics? So on that spectrum, where do you stand? That will also decide how much effort you will have to put in. For somebody who, let's say, has not read anything in a very long time, it will be a good idea to start reading right away and increase that volume in the beginning so that you don't feel the pressure of it later. So just to give my personal example, so when I started preparing for the CAT, I realized very early, and I kind of knew it before even I started my preparation, that I am not going to be good at verbal. So I'm somebody who came from a vernacular medium kind of education. So that background, I had that thing that I'll not be able to do well on the VRC section. Now, that was my perceived area of improvement or area of weakness. But I knew for sure that my math is sorted, right? So I had enough evidence from my past, my schooling days, that had told me that I am very, very good at mathematics. So then I had to put more effort on the VRC section, and that is something that I had to do. So depending on your past, you will know what are the areas of strength and areas of improvement. no matter what things are, you can always get better. So keep a growth mindset, right? See, a lot of times what I've realized is that people are inhibited, or they have a limitation because of their self assessment. So they think that, okay, I'm not good at this, and they keep telling themselves that they're not good at it, and then it becomes like a self fulfilling prophecy, and people don't get better at it. But instead, if you tell yourself that, oh, I can do this, I can get better at it, I've currently got a score of, let's say, 5 on, let's say, 22. I can go to a score of 10 on 22, right? So that is possible. So if you keep asking yourself, what are my areas of strengths and improvement, and keep working on the areas of improvement while strengthening the areas of strength further, it will become a little better for you. And finally, the last question: what is your target score? Because this decides everything. If you think of it, depending on what your target is, it will decide what is the amount of effort that you need to put in. So if your target score, for example, is getting 100 percentile in the 4 months, and let's say if you have not done anything so far, in the 4 months, definitely you'll have to put in significant amount of effort. But if you think that, okay, my target score is, let's say, getting into an IM, for which a 95 is going to suffice, or it is getting into some other institute for which 90 is going to suffice, then depending on that target score, you can figure out whether the time is going to suffice or not. And given the time, how much effort should I be putting? So somebody can say, I'm going to study 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever it is. You also have to figure out how much of that is going to be quality preparation time. And depending on your target score, you can decide that. So if you say, okay, my target is to get a 99 percentile, I will need to put in at least 5 to 6 hours of preparation every day, solving close to about 100 or more questions every day, just so that I have enough exposure which is required to crack the test. And that brings us to my final point. So there is this quote, and I hope all of you can see this. The quote goes like this: give me a minute, I'm good. Give me an hour, I'm great. Give me 6 months, I'm unbeatable. And this is from Hannibal Smith from a series called The A Team. It's a very old series. Some of you may not have seen it, but then that is what it is. And I want to change that a little bit. So instead of saying, give me 6 months, I'm unbeatable, I'll say, give me 4 months and I'm unbeatable. The point that we are trying to make is, the more the time available, you can use it. But again, you are the decision maker. So it's not that it's not going to come by force. If somebody says, okay, study for the next 4 months, you will not have the motivation. You remember when you were in school, maybe your parents enrolled you for some classes which you were never a fan of. Maybe you started learning guitar, but you don't know anything about music. You don't know anything. And you hated it, right? But then when you had more time and you had your own intent, then you are in a position to pick it up and then play it nicely. So you have to first figure out that whether all of these things, find the answers to these questions, ask yourself, introspect, and note that any amount of time is going to be sufficient as long as you know how to use it. So 4 months, are they sufficient? The answer to that question is yes, provided you know how to use those 4 months. Okay. So wish all of you all the best. I hope this video has helped. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know through the chat, and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. All the best. Bye everyone.